In this video, I'll introduce Tangora's newsletter module. We'll see how users can sign up for newsletters on your site, and we'll look at the tools you have in Tangora to administer your newsletters. The newsletter module lets your website's guests sign up for newsletters, and it allows you to build and send the newsletter to these subscribers, and also gives you tools to measure your success. I have up on screen a newsletter subscription page in our demo site Frez, which is a fictive organic food company. And as you can see here, you're able to enter in an email and name, and then there's some optional categories you can subscribe to with a register button. The customizable text at the top lets you know that you're signing up for updates on what's happening at Frez. And you also have the option to sign up for additional newsletter categories as well. You have the option to gather other information on your subscribers. For example, you might want to have a feel for the subscriber's address, or perhaps you want to gather information on their company or position. And you can make these fields optional or mandatory according to your needs. In fact, I have some other newsletter subscription pages with different settings in the context of other sites in the same Tangora solution. But for right now, let's just sign up here and see what happens. I'll choose the additional recipes category here too. Now, you do have a setup option whereby you can automatically send an email and require the subscriber to hit a link in that email in order to activate their account. But in my setup, I've decided not to utilize this feature. And I have a customizable feedback text that appears on the page which tells the user what their status is. Let me hop over to our newsletter administration tools now, which I find in Tangora Manager, and this is my one-stop for all my website setup needs. I have up on screen the subscriber database, which I find in Tangora Manager under Modules and Newsletters. As you can see, we have our new subscriber here amongst our existing subscribers. Note here too that some of the other subscribers have both a company and position registered. This is because they signed up in another context in our solution intended for our business partners, where company and position were required information. If I double-click on our new subscriber, we can see some details about our subscriber, including what categories are subscribed to. And here you'll notice that the category Frez News is selected, in addition to recipes. Frez News was the implicit category on the page, and recipes was what the user optionally added on. Now if I wanted to send a newsletter out, I'd go back to the overview of subscribers, and then I choose the category of the subscribers. So if I were to send out a general newsletter in our Frez News category, I just select that category and hit show. And as you can see here in the status at the bottom, there are now 15 subscribers active in this view as opposed to the 17 there are in total. Depending on how much information I gather on my subscribers, I could further hone in on a target audience if I wanted to by using Smart View filters, which I'll explain by way of demonstration. Let's say I wanted to send a newsletter to employees of a particular company, like Moretti Farms here. And I can just remove the filter with the Cancel Filters button at the bottom. Or indeed, I could choose to send my correspondence to a broader audience if that were appropriate. So maybe I wanted to select several categories at once. So if I choose job openings in addition to Frez News, you'll see that the number of recipients is up to 16. And beyond the newsletter module, there are a myriad of even more advanced tools available to target my audience. But now let's send a newsletter out. I'm going to just send this mail out to my own work mail, so I'll use Smart View filtering for that purpose. After I've selected my recipients, I'll just hit the Send Newsletter button, and I'll be brought to an interface where I can create my newsletter. It could be as simple as just writing a headline here and typing a message in the HTML field. But more typically, I'll have a layout for my newsletter which incorporates some colors and images and what have you, which jive with my organization's identity. I have all the tools here at my disposal to do just that. But for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll load an existing draft by hitting the Load Draft button. And here you can see that we have a layout and some text, and I could go ahead and edit the page as I please. You notice that there is also a placeholder here, or so-called merge field called Name, which gets replaced with each recipient's name as the newsletter is being sent out. This is one of many merge fields I have available by right-clicking. I have a bunch of options as far as what I could do with the newsletter I'm working on, from saving the current draft or doing a save as to create a new version. I could also send a test out of the current newsletter, and otherwise I could just send the newsletter directly, or I could schedule to have a completed newsletter sent out at a later point in time. For now, I'll just hit Send. And now I've pulled up on screen the final result in my inbox. The visual results of the final email may vary depending on the recipient's mail client, so it's a good idea to keep your design simple, but there are also advanced tools to be able to fine-tune your email as necessary. I've also made sure to include an unsubscribe button at the bottom, and naturally there are corresponding tools in Tangora to allow your users to deactivate their newsletter subscription. In addition, I've ensured that I have links in my newsletter that feed into various pages on my site. And back in Tangora Manager, I have an archive of the sent newsletters, as well as extensive statistics, which essentially tells me which links are popular, so I'll be able to see who's been in, when they've been there, and what pages they've been on, giving me invaluable information to help me measure my success and adjust my strategy accordingly. So now you've seen the newsletter module in action. Thanks for watching.